Good morning, everyone. Welcome to KCGC TV viewers. Myself, Dr. Shally Bhatia from Khalsa International Public School, Ranjit Avenue. Today, I am going to deliver a lecture on semiconductors. So, what are semiconductors? It is a growing field which has numerous applications in all over the science and technology. So semiconductor whose conductivity lies between conductors and insulators. We can divide solids into three categories. The first category is conductors, and the second categories are semiconductors, and the third categories are insulators. So conductors or the metals are called as good conductors because there are two bands inside the conductors. The lower band is called as the valence band and the upper band is called as the conduction band. So in case of metals or in case of conductors, the valence band and the conduction band are totally overlapping upon each other. So electron from the valence band can easily transfer to the conduction band. So there the conductivity is much more higher because the free electrons are available in the conduction band. So that's why the conductors are called as the good conductors of heat, electricity, and their examples are like aluminium, silver, etc. And the second category is called as insulators. In case of insulator, the valence band and the conduction band are having a band gap or difference of approximately, band gap energy is 6 electron volt. So electron find it difficult to migrate from valence band to conduction band. So in case of insulators, they are called as the pure conductors of electricity and heat. So the example of insulators are like wood. They are the bad conductors of electricity because they are not able to cross from valence band to conduction band because of the large energy band gap difference. But the semiconductors are intermediate between conductors and insulators. So the semiconductors are having a band gap energy of 1 electron volt, so they can easily transfer from the valence band to conduction band. So their conductivity is intermediate between conductors and insulators, and their resistivity is less than insulators. So semiconductors has numerous properties. The first property of semiconductors, they have a negative temperature coefficient, and their conductivity we can increase by increasing the temperature. And these semiconductors we can also increase their conductivity by adding the impurities or the external impurity inside the semiconductors. So these semiconductors are nowadays are very beneficial because these semiconductors are further categorized into two further categories. The semiconductor are called as intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. So intrinsic semiconductor are those which is called as a pure semiconductor in which we are not adding any impurity. So their conductivity is intermediate. But in extrinsic semiconductor means in which we are adding external impurity from the outside. So we can add two type of impurity, like it can be pentavalent or it can be trivalent. So first we take the example of silicon. Silicon is a semiconductor. It has 14 atomic number, so it has 4 valence electron. And when we add impurity inside a silicon, like pentavalent impurity, it has 5 valence electron. So the 4 valence electron are utilized by the silicon and one free electron is available. So the majority carriers are electrons. So the electron concentration goes on increasing. So that's why this semiconductor becomes a n-type semiconductor. And secondly, when we add a trivalent impurity, so the semiconductor, one space is left unoccupied. This space is called as a hole. So in this case, the hole concentration is goes on increasing. So this semiconductor in which the whole concentration goes on increasing is called as the p-type semiconductors. So there are two type of semiconductor. P-type semiconductor is formed due to the trivalent impurity, and the n-type semiconductor is formed due to the pentavalent impurity. So these p and n-type are very beneficial regarding any electronic circuit. With the help of PN and semiconductor, we can construct a PN junction diode. These diodes are very beneficial regarding they have a number of application in rectifiers. So rectifier is a device which can convert alternating current into direct current. So these PN junction diode, we can also forward bias the PN junction diode or we can also reverse bias the PN junction diode. When we are forward biasing the PN junction diode, it will increase the amount of current and the width of the depletion layer becomes small. So it can increase the value of current very much as compared to reverse biasing, because in case of reverse biasing we can connect the p-type semiconductor to the negative terminal of the battery and n-type to the positive terminal of the battery. That's why the width of the depletion layer increases, so their current conduction becomes decreases because of the flow of minority carriers. So we are preferring the forward bias characteristic. So these p-n junction diode are two terminal devices. There are also some two terminal devices like photodiode, semiconductor diode, laser diode. These are the two terminal devices in which we are using the p and n type semiconductor to construct a two terminal device. So these are the basic building blocks of any electronic circuit, and there are also some three terminal devices. For three terminal devices, the first one is the most important, is the transistor. When we take two type of p-n junction diode like p and n junction diode and connect it from end to end, we can construct a PNP transistor or NPN transistor. So transistor is basically a three terminal device in which there are emitter, base and collector. Emitter which emits electron and the collector which collects the electron, and base is the intermediate between emitter and collector. So we can categorize these transistors into three main categories. First is the common base transistor, secondly is the common emitter transistor, and thirdly is the common collector transistor. So these transistor is basically three terminal device. Either we can use common base, common emitter or common collector. Now we move towards another three terminal device. The most important is the FETs. FETs means the field effect transistor, in which there is a three terminal source, drain and gate. So source perform the same function, it emits an electron, and the gate which passes the electron, and the drain which collects the electron. So it also, we can also modify FET into MOSFET, which is a metal oxide field effect transistor. So these are the basically three terminal devices. Another three terminal device is triac. Now we move towards the four terminal devices. The four terminal devices is the magnetic field sensor. So semiconductor are most important application. It can be used as a sensor in electric field or in magnetic field. So these are about the basic discussion about the semiconductors. Now these semiconductors are very beneficial because it has numerous application, and these are nowadays become very beneficial for each and everyone because of its application. So the P and N type semiconductor are basic building block of diodes and PNP transistor. So we can construct a IR circuit using the semiconductor, these P and N type semiconductor. So what is an integrated circuit? An integrated circuit which consists of resistors, capacitors, diode and transistor on a single chip, which can be latestly used in different computers. The chip is used in computers, in laptops. So it is a most growing technology nowadays. So the semiconductor are basically have numerous applications. The first and the foremost application is that semiconductor is used in logic gates. We can construct the different type of logic gates using semiconductors. And another example of semiconductor, it is used in home appliances also, because it is a temperature, work as a temperature sensor also. So semiconductor, it is used in air conditioning system because it sends the temperature over there. And if apart from that, semiconductor is very beneficial in home appliances like rice cooker, because it is a temperature control device in which the temperature sensor records the temperature measurement, and so it's easy to work with that particular temperature. So semiconductor is also used as a gas sensor, because nowadays there is in factories there is a leakage of gas. So somebody they required a sensor which can detect the different type of harmful gases, so that we can get aware of the leakage of that particular gas. So these semiconductors are used as a modern technology. It can be used as a temperature sensor, it can be used as a gas sensor, or it can be used to control the different making a chips. So it is also beneficial in ATMs. Nowadays the people are totally dependent upon the ATMs. So ATM chip is basically constructed by using a semiconductors, and it is also beneficial in internet and communication system. And it is also very played important role in 3D printing machines, in which we use a semiconductor as a modern technology. So semiconductor are basically used in making a microprocessor. So it is a very beneficial role in electronics. So it is useful in mobile phones, smartphones, digital cameras, computers and calculators. The semiconductor is born in 1874, but afterwards in 1927 the quantum mechanics applies to increase the conductivity of these semiconductors. So semiconductor is a growing field because it is based upon the modern technology that is called as the self automation. Self automation which increases the efficiency of human, and it also increases the latest demand, and it decreases the labor work. So now a self automation is growing field because nowadays it is required for the home security or for the factory security system, automatically on and off of street lights, where the semiconductors are used as a sensors. Or apart from that, it is also very beneficial in self-driving cars, because nowadays the technology are coming in which the driverless cars are going day by day. So semiconductors are used in which the number of semiconductors in on a single chip is used to construct a its vehicle in which there is a no need of driver. So it is a growing field, and it is used in self automation in driverless cars, or it is used in making robots. So nowadays robots are going on increasing, so it is helpful in hospitals or any other field. So the semiconductor is also used as a semiconductor diode laser, because semiconductor diode laser, it consists of a p and n type semiconductor. So the holes from the p type semiconductor and electron from the n type semiconductor they will get recombined, and during the recombination of holes and electron the light is emitted, and that light is called as the laser light. So this type of semiconductor diode laser in which the laser light is emitted is called as the semiconductor diode laser, in which the p and n type diode is used to get a laser light emission. So the laser diodes is very helpful in fiber communication. It is very helpful in painkillers, and uh, these laser diodes are also helpful in laser printing machine, where nowadays we are totally depending upon the printing machines, and we are technologically improved, so we are using the laser printing machine in which the semiconductor diode laser are used. So these all the latest technologies in which the semiconductor is based. Because of this different characteristic, it is also used to making the different type of circuits. It is most important application is it is used in integrated circuit. Integrated is of very small in size, approximately in 10 nanometer, in which number of resistors, number of capacitor, diodes and transistor are used in a small area. So it is a very small size my integrated chip, which is used in making a different laptops. It is used in modern phones. So it is a growing field. It is also used in making calculators. So we cannot think anything without semiconductors, because it is used in each and every way, whether we are constructing an IR circuit, whether we are constructing a microprocessor, or whether we are constructing any printing machine. So semiconductor are used in each and everywhere. So the most common country that is called as China. China is conducting using these semiconductor to construct a different devices that is based upon these semiconductors. So these semiconductors are nowadays very helpful in doing some computers and calculators, and apart from them it is useful in microwaves and refrigerators, because in microwave and refrigerator again temperature sensor is required. So semiconductors are used as a temperature sensor inside the refrigeration system, inside the microwave system, or inside the any air conditioning system. So it has a numerous application. It can be used as a temperature sensor, it can be used as a gas sensor, so we can ignore its applications. So these semiconductors has some advantages. Because of these advantages we are using day by day the semiconductors. The first and the important application of these semiconductors, it is beneficial. It uses a less power, so it is a very small in size, and it is very low cost. So it is everybody, due to its low cost and small size, prefer the semiconductor because it is used to construct a silicon wafer on which we can deposit the thin films and use a different type of sensing using that particular film. So semiconductors, silicon wafers are generally used as a semiconductor technology. The most important semiconductor that we are used is gallium arsenide, which is a semiconductor material in which we are used to improve the making chips or making the integrated circuit. The different types of semiconductor is germanium, silicon wafer, and the gallium arsenide, which uses a different type of application in the modern technology. So the semiconductor, due to its low cost and numerous application, it consumes less power and it has a longer lifetime span. So that's why because of its properties, we are using nowadays more and more semiconductors because of its low cost and long life. And apart from this, it has some disadvantages. So most and the common disadvantage of these semiconductor is that it is a very temperature sensitive. If small increase in temperature, it will get even burn or it can get damaged. Because of this property, we can slightly ignore it, but because of its number of applications, we can't ignore the semiconductor technology because it improves, it creates a green revolution inside the technology, and we cannot think about the any electronic technology without the semiconductors. So semiconductors are much more beneficial apart from the conductors and insulators because of its different properties, because we can increase their conductivity at 0 Kelvin, and they already behave as an insulator. But when we increase the temperature, so there becomes conductivity increases, so they are highly temperature dependent. So these semiconductors are nowadays, because of its different properties, are very beneficial. So we can also use these semiconductor in the IC circuit and in microprocessor, and we can also use the digital camera. Nowadays the smartwatches are coming and also use the semiconductor technology. So grow by day, as the modern technology grows, the semiconductor field is growing day by day because of the number of different applications, and they have more advantages as comparative to disadvantages. So we can use these advantages to grow our technology day by day, and this is about the semiconductors. And this is the this is because of the few properties we can't ignore, because and we can use more in modern technologies more and more semiconductors. So thank you.